All right, so again, we're going to do some video editing, so we can sequence things using Adobe Premiere. Now, when the file's set up, I'm going to go in and just check my file sizes on here, my frame sizes, and that's going to determine our document size. Right? You always want your Premiere project to match whatever your video file. So right here, I can see that my frame width is 1920. And my frame height is 1080, and my frame rate is 24 frames per second. So now if I go back to Premiere, I can make a new project. I'm going to browse to whatever folder you're saving your stuff in. So for me, I'm going to call this, I have a demo lessons folder, all right, and I'm going to call this, I have one for Adobe Premiere. So I'm just going to select this folder, and I'm going to name it or actually for this one, character scene demo, maybe a little bit more appropriate there. Alright, so what we're doing is we're naming it, and you're browsing to find the location of where you want all those files to be. You probably, if you don't have one already, make a folder for your character scene. Alright, and you can be working on that. Did everybody download their... Alright, so we have our file set up. We're going to press OK. And here is Adobe Premiere. Alright, so we have basically your workspace. All these tabs on the top, they change the arrangement of your workspace, all your panels. Alright, so when we're starting off, and I always like to say, kind of go in order here that these tabs are if you are doing a lot of video editing. All right, for today, let's start off with the Assembly tab. And over here where it says Import Media, we're going to do just that. We can right-click and say Import. And now we want to find those two files that I had you download. Or if you have your own videos converted already, then you can use those. When you're importing, you mean? Yeah, like first. No, you can import them both at once. Alright, so now that we have the clips in here, first thing we're going to do, we're going to take the lead clip and we're going to drag it to the timeline. Alright, so what that does is now we can see that it's showing up in our program monitors, it's called. This has effects applied normally, but we're not even going to add any effects to this really. We can press play. All right, what we probably do want to do though is trim this, right? Because we have all this extra space at the end. So if I just select the end of this and drag that over, now it's only going to be kind of to the duration of that, right? So it would just play. All right, and then we would have our next clip. So it's kind of like what we're talking about with this project. We would have like a conversation happening in between. So now, and then we would have the response here. No problem. All right, so we're going to trim that down to just be what that is. All right. You do have on the bottom here, you have what's called the zoom slider. So if you really want to trim that to just after where like the audio is, you can kind of zoom in on there a little bit more. All right, so now we have our two audio clips. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add some titles to this. All right, because in your project here, and we'll be getting to that afterwards, we're going to have the name of the scene from your planning. All right, and we'll do some preset animations in here. All right, so I'd like you all to go to the graphics category. Up at the top, there's this tab that says graphics. Everybody see that? All right. These are all preset animations, as I'm calling here, right? So I think there's a way you can preview them in here. I forget what it is here. I think, though, we may just have to... Oh, here we go. Is this how it was? And then is there a play button? There we go. So here we go. So if you want to see how the animation is, so for this one, it kind of like dissolves in, right? What I did, if I click on, so first we went to graphics, then I click on the eye for the info, and it gives you like a preview window. And then if you click on it, there's like a little slider that you can kind of see which one you want to use. Let's just all start though with this one here, angled image caption. All right. So when you hover over it, it's in the bottom right corner. No, the letter I. All right, so let's move our playhead back to the beginning, and let's just drag angled image caption on top of this layer. I'm getting a font issue. I'm not going to worry about it. Just press cancel. And now if I go in here, all right, we can just move over the slider until we see that the text is there. Then we're going to grab the text tool and we can replace this. All right, so let's just call this character animator Premiere demo. All right, so now if we play this out, if I rewind and play, it kind of does that fizzling in, all right? And I can kind of shorten this as well afterwards because it's not going that far. All right, so, yep. So we have the title in here. That's all I'm asking for the title. And you can choose any of those preset titles that are in there. But I do want to have a title to your scene. And then at the end, we would, this will be a little more involved, I guess, here. So for your credits, I wanted you to have directed by, artwork, technical director, and the DVC logo. So actually, they do have, if we go back to browse, I think they have one here that is going to be very similar to a rolling credit. Classic credits, you can do something like this. Let's see if it animates. No, that one doesn't go up. Let's see if there was one. I thought they had one that would move up. None of these are. All right, you know what? We're just going to make some credits at the end. So let's move our playhead to the end. All right, and we can just use the T tool here. So we're going to just click and drag to make a text box. And what I'm going to do for right now is I'm just going to copy from my score sheet here. I'm going to copy, go back to Premiere, and I'm going to paste. It's directed by, artwork by, technical editor. What are you asking, Devin? Oh, add here? Character animator Premiere demo. Did you select the T tool? Yes. You clicked and dragged to draw a box. Now if you just click back inside of that box, you can type. I pasted from the score sheet from the Google Drive.
I swear to God, that's funny. I'm dropping out.
No, it's not. So I'm just looking for the text formatting here.
Yo, chill.
Yes. If you didn't see how to do the editing of like the formatting, once your text is selected, if you go to this edit tab, it brings up all of your properties. So I know there's a lot in here, but if you go down to this category of text, this first number here is your size. All right, so as we drag that out, that makes that larger. Here's your font, obviously. all of your justifications, so left, center, and all that stuff. You can make it all caps if you wanted. There's all, you know, and your fill color is down here. All right, so that's going to be all that stuff there. Now we want to be able to animate this. All right, to have it rolling credits. Kind of like Star Wars. So I'm going to start with it, and I'm going to drag it. So I'm going to move my playhead to the beginning of that sequence there. All right, and just like in any other program, we're going to tell it this is the starting position. So I'm going to have it down here, all right, to start. And then what do you think we need to do in order to make it animated? Keyframe, right? So up here in this tab that says Effect Controls. Does everybody have that tab on the upper left here? All right, here I'm going to turn off a light too so you can see better. All right, so if we go to where it says Motion, all right, I believe that menu is collapsed for you guys. So open the menu that says Motion, and what do we see that looks familiar in here? The clocks, the stopwatches. So what do we want to do to animate? Position, good, right? Because we want to move it. So I'm going to click the stopwatch. Then I'm going to, what would the next thing be? So this is establishing your first keyframe, all right? And you can even see, I know it's right on the edge here, but here is my keyframe, all right, that has been created for that. So that's our first keyframe. Now what do we want to do from there? We told it what it should look like at this point in time, so what do we have to do to animate it? This should all be very similar. We need to tell it timeline, right? So we're going to move it, let's say about halfway through here, and then we can just move it up. So actually that didn't give me another keyframe. I think I just increased the box there. So we have our position variables here. So the first one is X, the second is Y. So if I drag the Y value, oh, I messed up my text here.
Why does we black? This happened to my screen before. You have to ask Mr. Excuse me, my screen is black. That just happened to me.
Yeah, I just lost my text. I don't know where it went in here.
It's still black.
Tina, this is like what you got before, right? Your text just disappeared. All right, let's go back here. All right, so to create our credits, we're just going to move our playhead to the end. We're going to use the T tool. We can drag a box out. Let's just type in credits for now. And we could always put that stuff in afterwards. I will format it. I can make this box a little bit smaller so it's fitting to there. All right, and then I'm going to start off. I want those credits to be down at the bottom. So I'm going to move them using the position data here. Turn on the stopwatch. Move my playhead over to where I want that animation to end. And then just bring it up there to where that position should be. And now I can see that we have our credits happening like that. And we would do the same thing for the logo. All right, so I'm going to go back here and I will go to my project here. All right, so in this project, I can get the logo. Save link. Nope, that's right, we got to click on it. Click the dots, open in the window, and then download it. From there, we would go back to our project. We're going to import it to get that graphic back in here. All right, and then from this, I'll go back to assembly. These tabs change this so we can kind of see our project panel again now. All right, and then from here, we can do the same thing with our effect control to get our logo in there. Maybe I'll make it a little bit bigger. Alright, and then, so we could actually animate that a couple ways. I'll let you guys do as movement or scaling. Actually, I kind of like the scaling as it gets bigger. So for that one, what we would do is we would, just drop it in there and just keyframe our scale. So it's going to start there, halfway through, make it kind of fit the screen, and then we have it scaling out in that way. Alright, so we have our title as part of our scene, our credits, and then the logo getting bigger. Alright, the last part, and I'll come back to review stuff and help you guys, but what we would do is we would want to save it first, and then to export from Premiere, we do File, Export Media, and we're going to use our same settings that we always use, H.264. I will change my name of the file. I'll just say character scene premiere demo. And that would be it. Alright, so it's running through. In Premiere, you don't have to use the media encoder. That you could, though, if sometimes if we find that the processing is taken really slow, that will you can use media encoder. But now I'll just test it to see that it all came out the right way. And let's see, here we go.
You're a leader. Lead. No problemo.
So we have our credits coming in and then our text. Alright, so you could actually use this template that we're creating here in Premiere to just kind of, you could include it into the same project. So you could delete stuff, or what you can do is for your actual project, right, you could go back and say File, New Sequence, and then you could name it whatever the name of your scene is. So like, the actual name of your project. And what that'll do is it's going to create, you can see here, if you change your view from icon to list view, these ones here that have kind of a little stack, the layers, that's your sequence file. You can think of that as like a page, all right? So this has its own timeline here for this one that I just had called lead, which I'm going to rename this to demo. All right, and then this would be my actual project as it is. So you're going to keep the same files in there, but then you can make a new exported version of that from there. All right, so as I was saying, you do have to have background music in here. All right, so this site is kind of, it's royalty free as it says, so we don't, you could actually post this anywhere. It's organized by category. So let's see, why is this not playing? Oh, it's just taking a little while. Alright, so if you wanted this sound, you would click download, where as they say it's free as long as you kind of put that into your credits, music from this web address, which actually I guess we could add to our credits there. So if we do copy and then download, here's our music. So I'll just stop playing it in here. So in Premiere, we're just going to import it. And then we can just drag that down to the bottom layer of our timeline. Now, Devin was asking how we can lower the sound. If we go in, what I did was I hovered over the layer, and your layer becomes, or this, your cursor becomes a double arrow. By dragging this down, we can then see that this middle line is now selectable, and you can just lower it there. So that's a way to lower the sound there. So first I kind of pulled the layer down because you can't get in here really right now. So if you drag it down it makes this audio layer kind of larger. And then there's this line in the middle that you can drag down. So now if I play it,
You're a leader. Lead. No problemo.
it is kind of epic, right? So then I could then add this to my credits too. All right, so if I go here, I choose my T tool. Now I copied that from their site, so I just say music from here, all right? So I would then save it again and then re-export that, but then you have that with that.